Good morning, children. In the last class, we have studied about the SI system of measurement, derived units, mass, weight, volume, etc. In today's class, we are going to read about the measurement of temperature and scientific notation. Temperature is defined as the degree of hotness or coldness of your body. It is related to the internal energy of your body. Temperature can be measured in three different scales. The three scales of temperature are centigrade scale, Fahrenheit scale, and Kelvin scale. Celsius scale or centigrade scale starts from 0 degree, which is the freezing point of water. That is called the lower fixed point. And the boiling point of water is taken as the upper fixed point, which is 100 degree. In Fahrenheit scale, the lower fixed point is 32 degree Fahrenheit and upper fixed point is 212 degree Fahrenheit. Kelvin scale or absolute temperature scale. 0 degree Celsius on the Celsius scale is equal to 273.15 Kelvin. On the absolute scale, thus we add 273 to the Celsius temperature to obtain the temperature at Kelvin scale. Once again, I will repeat, Celsius scale starts from 0 degree, which is the lower fixed point, and upper fixed point is 100 degree, which is the boiling point of water. And the Fahrenheit scale, the lowest temperature measured is 32 degree Fahrenheit and upper fixed point is 212 degree Fahrenheit. To convert Celsius scale to the Kelvin scale, we add 273 to the Celsius scale. But do you know how to convert centigrade scale to Fahrenheit scale or Fahrenheit scale to Celsius scale? We should derive a formula to do this calculation. In the Celsius scale, number of divisions is 100, whereas in the Fahrenheit scale, the number of divisions are 180. You can see the Celsius scale is divided between 0 and 100. So 100 equal divisions, whereas in the Fahrenheit scale, it is divided between 32 degree Fahrenheit and 212 degree Fahrenheit, which implies 180 equal divisions. Now, how to do the conversion? We know that for any change of temperature in the Celsius scale, the change in the Fahrenheit scale will be uniform. For any change in the Celsius scale, the change in the Fahrenheit scale will be uniform. So, we can observe a linear relationship between the centigrade scale and the Fahrenheit scale. So, for a given change in temperature, the ratio of change in the Fahrenheit scale to the change in the scale is constant. So, what we can tell from this, delta F by delta C is a constant, is it not? So, we can draw a graph to find out the relation. So, a graph can be drawn by taking Celsius scale on the x-axis and Fahrenheit scale on the, you can see here, a graph has been drawn by taking Celsius scale on the x-axis and Fahrenheit scale on the y-axis. So, you can see here, there is a straight line where the points are 0 and 32 and 100 and 212. This is a straight line. And for finding out the relation, we have to find out the slope. So this, according to the equation of straight line, we can write here y is equal to mx plus k. And to find out the slope, we can use the formula y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1. What is y2 here? 212 degree Fahrenheit. And y1 is 32 degree Fahrenheit. x2 is 100 degree Celsius and y2 is 0. So y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1, 212 minus 32 by 100 minus 0, that is equal to 9 by 5. Now, let us write the equation of a straight line y is equal to mx plus k. From that only we have got the value of m, that is slope, as 9 by 5. Value of k will be the value of y when x is equal to 0. We know that x is 0 degree Celsius. So when we put 0 degree Celsius in the equation for x, then we will get the value of y as 32. So degree Fahrenheit is equal to 9 by 5 degree Celsius plus 32. So from this, we can also derive the value of degree Celsius, that is degree Celsius equal to F minus 32 into 5 by 9. So degree Fahrenheit is equal to 9 by 5 degree Celsius plus 32, or degree Celsius equal to F minus 32 into 5 by 9. So now let us do a problem related to this, that is convert 37 degrees Celsius to the Fahrenheit scale. How will you convert 37 degrees Celsius to the Fahrenheit scale? So we can use the formula degree Fahrenheit is equal to 9 by 5 into degree Celsius, that is equal to degree Fahrenheit is equal to 9 by 5 into 37 plus 32. So what value you are getting? 333 by 5 plus 32, which is equal to 98.6 degree Fahrenheit. So 37 degree Celsius equal to 98.6 degree Fahrenheit, which is the human body temperature. Understand? Uncertainty in measurement. Uncertainty in measurement arises due to two factors. What are they? One is random error, another one is systematic error. Random error and systematic error. Random error, which is caused due to the inaccuracy of measurement by an individual. That is, in simple form, it is due to human error. Systematic error may be caused due to lack of sensitivity in the instrument. Lack of sensitivity in the instrument. For example, we can say the smallest value that can be measured by using a meter scale is only 1 millimeter. Value less than 1 millimeter cannot be measured by using a meter scale. Thus, meter scale lack in sensitivity in the sense that it cannot measure less than a millimeter. So there is an error in the order of millimeter in each instrument. Okay, understood about uncertainty in measurement. Now let us go to the topic precision and accuracy. What is precision and accuracy? In chemical calculation, precision and accuracy are very, very important. So what is precision? Precision refers to the closeness of various measurements for the same quantity. Accuracy is the agreement of a particular value to the true value of the result. Accuracy is the agreement of a particular value to the true value of the result. So let us see one experiment conducted by students where they have got different values. So whether they have got precision and accuracy in their result. Okay, so 3 students A, B and C, they did the titration for the 2 times and the values obtained by them are as follows. Student A has got the value as 19.5 and 19.3, got an average of 19.4. Students B has got a value of 19.4 and 20.5 and average is 19.95. And student C has did the experiment and got the value as 20.1 and 19.9, getting an average of 20.0 ml. Okay, so in this titration, the actual value they should have got is 20 ml. So we will see about these values, whether they are precise and accurate. For student A, the value 19.5 and 19.3. These 2 values are very close to each other, but it deviates a lot from the actual value, that is 20 ml. So we can tell that the value measured by A is precise, but it is not accurate. Okay, but in the case of B, the value he has got is 19.4 and 20.5, and so here we can tell that 19.4 and 20.5 are far away from 20, and also 19.5 and 20.5 are not close to each other. So we can tell that these values are not precise and also not accurate. Not precise, not accurate. For student C, the values are 20.1 and 19.9, which are very close to each other, and also they are very close to the actual value. So the measurement of C is precise and accurate. Understood? Measurement of C is precise and accurate. Okay, children. Next, we will go to the topic of significant figures. Significant figures means digits of a number that represent the degree of accuracy. Digits of a number that represent the degree of accuracy. For example, consider the following 2400 meter, which can be represented as 2.4 kilometer. In this case, the number of significant figure is only 2400. If you take 2.4, significant figure is only 2. 2400 assets may be written when 2399.99 or 2400.001 would have been rounded off. So only we are getting the significant figure as 2. But when you say 2400.0, then it means that the number has been measured accurately up to the first decimal point. So 2400.0 has got 5 significant figures. In the same way, if you write 2400.01, then the number has been accurately measured up to 2 decimal places. So the number of significant figure is 6. Now, let us see the rules for writing the number of significant figures. There are certain rules by which we can decide how to write the number of significant figures. First point is, all non-zero digits are significant. All non-zero digits are significant. For example, if you take the number 285, there is no zero in that. It has got 3 values. So all the 3 are significant. 0.25, if you write, there are 2 significant figures. Okay. Zeros preceding to first non-zero digit are non-significant. It indicates the position of the decimal point. For example, if you write 0.03, it has got only 1 significant figure. And if you take the example of 0.0052, it has got 2 significant figures. Okay. And next rule is that zeros between 2 non-zero digits are significant. Zeros between 2 non-zero digits are significant. For example, if you write 2.005, it has got 4 significant figures. Next rule is terminal zeros are not significant if it does not have a decimal point. If there is no decimal point is there, then terminal zeros are not significant. For example, if you write 6,000, it has got no decimal point. So it has got only 1 significant figure, which is 6. If we write 100 as 1 into 10 power 2. So when we write 1 into 10 power 2, it is not having any decimal point. So here only 1 decimal point is there. And if you take 1.0 into 10 power 2, so there is 1 decimal place. So the number of significant figures in this number is 2. If you write 1.00 into 10 power 2, then it has got 3 significant figures. Okay. So we should understand how to write the significant figures, number of significant figures, by keeping all these things in mind. Now, also we will see in the case of addition and multiplication, how we have to keep the decimal point. Let us take an example. These numbers 12.11, 18.0 and 1.012. So if you add this number 12.11 plus 18.0 plus 1.012, you will get a sum of 31.122. When you keep the decimal, you have to write the number only as 31.1, because in the number that are added, the number 18 has got 1 decimal place. So you have to see the minimum number of decimal place that is in the number which are added. So only 1 decimal place in 18. So we have to keep the decimal point only as 31.1. So we should not write 31.122. The result should be written as 31.1. In the same way, if you do the multiplication between 2.5 and 1.25, the result is 3.125. 2.5 into 1.25, the result is 3.125. Here also, the answer should be written as 3.1, because in the multiplication number, the first number has got only 1 decimal point. So we have to see that the point should be kept 3.1, should not write as 3.125. Understand? So next is, there are certain rules to be remembered while rounding of the numbers. So when we round off the numbers, we have to see certain things. Points to be noted while rounding off the number. If the rightmost digit to be removed is more than 5, the preceding number is increased by 1. For example, if we write 1.386, it can be written as 1.39. If the rightmost digit to be removed is less than 5, then the preceding number is not changed. For example, if you write 8.734, if 4 is to be removed, then the result is rounded off up to 8.73 only. Next thing is, if the rightmost digit to be removed is 5, then the preceding number is not changed if it is an even number, but it is increased by 1 if it is an odd number. For example, if you write 7.35 is to be rounded off by removing 5, then we have to increase 3 to 4, giving 7.4 as the result. But if the number is 7.45, then remove without altering 4, giving the result as 7.4. Next, we will go to the topic of scientific notation. Since in chemistry, we have to deal with very large as well as very small numbers. For example, mass of macromolecules, which are very large. Also, Avogadro number, which has the value of 6.023 into 10 power 23. And also, we have to measure very small values like the mass of an electron, 9.1 into 10 power minus 3 kilogram, or Planck's constant. These are all very small values. So, always we have to follow the method of exponential notation in expressing such values. So, numbers can be represented in the form of n into 10 power n, where n varies from 1.000 to 9.9999. So, for example, if you have to write 232.508, we can write it as 2.32508 into 10 power 2. In the same way, if you have to write the number 0.00016, we can write it as 1.6 into 10 power minus 4. Next aspect what we are going to see is dimensional analysis. There are different systems of units. To name a few, FPS, that is foot pound second, MKS system, meter kilogram second, and CGS system, centimeter gram second. For the sake of uniformity, SI system of unit is adopted throughout the world. To convert units from one system to the other system, we use the method of dimensional analysis. No matter what the scale of measurement, that is, whether length is measured in centimeter or meter or means, length is assigned a dimension L. Similarly, without bothering about whether mass is measured in gram or kilogram, mass is assigned a dimension M and the time dimension T. Numbers are dimensionless. For the equation to be correct, the dimension of left hand side should be equal to the dimension of the right hand side. Let us see how we use the idea of dimensional analysis using the following example. Okay, so we will take one example. Convert 50 centimeter to meter. 50 centimeter to meter. There is one system of units called CGS, and in this, length is measured in centimeter. The SI unit of length is meter. SI unit of length is meter. No matter what the system of unit is, dimension of length is L. Okay. So, we know that 100 centimeters equal to 1 meter. 100 centimeters equal to 1 meter. Which implies 100 centimeter by 1 meter. That is equal to 1. Which is equal to 1 meter by 100 centimeter. 100 centimeter by 1 meter, which is equal to 1, which is equal to 1 meter by 100 centimeter. Both 100 centimeter and 1 meter are dimensionally expresses length. Okay, but the result what is 1, which is marked in red color here. Okay, so now we will write 50 centimeters equal to 50 centimeter into 1. L is both 100 centimeter by 1 meter, which are indicating length, and the value 1 indicate it's a number which does not have any dimension. So now we will write 50 centimeter, that is equal to 50 centimeter into 1. Whatever, if we multiply 50 with 1, the value is not going to change. So we write 50 centimeters equal to 50 centimeter into 1, and we will substitute the value of 1 here, 1 meter by 100 centimeter. Okay, so 50 centimeter into 1 meter by 100 centimeter, which is equal to 0.5 meter. So 50 centimeter into 1 meter by 100 centimeter. Instead of 1, we are substituting the value 1 meter by 100 centimeter. So that is equal to 0.5 meter. With this motivation, let us proceed to solve the example problem given in the text. Okay, that is, the problem is a jug contains 2 liters of milk. Calculate the volume of milk in meter cube. Once again, I repeat, a jug contains 2 liters of milk. Calculate the volume of milk in meter cube. So how to apply dimensional analysis for this calculation? We know that 1 liter is equal to 1000 centimeter cube. Okay, and 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter. So when we write 1 meter by 100 centimeter, that is equal to 1, which can be written as 100 centimeter by 1 meter. Again, here the 1 is dimensionless. So if we write the cubic form, 1 meter by 100 centimeter, the whole cube is equal to 1 meter cube by 10 power 6 centimeter cube, which is equal to 1. Now in the problem, you have got 2 liters of milk. So to write 2 liters equal to 2 into 1000 centimeter cube, that is equal to 2 into 1000 centimeter cube into 1. Again, the 1 is dimensionless. So we can substitute the value here for 1. So 2 into 1000 centimeter cube into 1 meter cube by 10 power 6 centimeter cube, which is equal to 2 meter cube by 10 power 3. So 2 liters equal to 2 into 10 power minus 3 meter cube. So 2 liters equal to 2 into 10 power minus 3 meter cube. Okay, children. So I hope you would have understood today's class, and in the next class we will study about the various laws governing chemistry. Okay, thank you, children.